On Nepal, Chengdu kicked off the game with their trademark Hammond. Among was utilizing the Ham Slam to great effect, disrupting the Mayhem's goats every time they tried to push in. The Mayhem finally capped in OT, and after they dumped every ult they had into the fight. The Hunters then came in and recapped with ease, taking Shrine relatively easy. Sanctum had Chengdu running the same Hammond goats composition. The Mayhem were so fed up with Among's Hammond that they ended up solo grabbing him. This did confirm a kill on the Wrecking Ball and eventually allowed the Mayhem to take the point back. Chengdu then swapped into a standard goats. They ended up not liking the standard comp and went back to Hammond pretty much immediately. The Hunters ended up C9ing in overtime, allowing Florida to take the point. Pharmacy was brought out by both teams on Village, and Chengdu won the initial fight. Both teams went anti-meta trends, as the Hunters comp also featured a Moira and Hammond, while the Mayhem even ran Tracer. The Mayhem took the point briefly, but the Panda Bears put their paws down and finished the job. On King's Row, Reaper and Genji were the DPS for the Hunters, along with Hammond, Ana, Lucio, and Zarya. This comp took down the defense on the second try, utilizing a classic Nano Blade to finish the fight. The Reaper comp was halted halfway through the streets. The Hunters then swapped to an Ana Goats. The Mayhem countered with the rare May comp. This did not save point B, as the Hunters mowed them down. The May comp finally halted the payload a few meters from the finish line. The Hammond Goats was the defensive choice for Hunters. This defense didn't hold for long, and the Mayhem took the point easily. Florida kept up the momentum, only being halted a little bit before point B checkpoint. Florida regained their mojo quickly and took the point with time to spare. Tvik swapped back to the May for point C. This ended up working out well, as the Mayhem finished the map and tied the series. On Anubis, Pharmacy was the comp of choice for the Hunters' attack in an attempt to counter Ana Goats that the Mayhem were running on defense. This composition shredded the defense and prompted the Mayhem to swap to a bizarre dive defense with Roadhog. This weird Frankenstein comp didn't work at all, and the Mayhem snowballed through Anubis. The classic Junkrat Orisa Widow defense went up against the Florida Dive Goats. The old classic completely shut down the newfangled Dotes, and the Hunters took Anubis easily. On Rialto, more Pharmacy came out of the gate for the Hunters on offense versus more Dive Goats from the Mayhem. This Pharmacy surgically cut through the Mayhem defense, and the Hunters rolled through into the next phase. But the Hunters were briefly halted right before the checkpoint, but they eventually muscled their way through. Chengdu then swapped to Goats for point C. This really didn't work at all, and the Hunters were stopped about halfway through point C. Double sniper defense was on the menu for the Hunters. This defense completely stymied the Florida attack for 3 minutes, but the Mayhem eventually pushed through. The Hunters swapped to Goats on the point B defense, but the Mayhem's Hammond Goats quickly made work of Chengdu. An EMP finally stopped the Mayhem a few meters before the finish line. The Hunters had a couple of miracle holds, but eventually the Mayhem took the map. On Busan, Hammond Goats allowed the Hunters to cap first on Mecha Base, but the Mayhem's unorthodox Tracer, Soldier, Sombra triple DPS allowed Florida to retake relatively quickly. The Hunters retook the point and didn't relinquish their grasp, despite Florida dumping all of their ults into the effort. The Hunters used Roadhog on Sanctuary against another triple DPS comp from the Mayhem, except this time, Seiya player was on Widow. An extremely prolonged fight allowed the Hunters to build up to 68%, and Seiya player's Widow was on point as usual. His skill was a big reason the Mayhem managed to keep up at all, but in the end, it wasn't enough. The Hunters retook the point and finished it off, winning the map and the game. This wasn't exactly a flawless performance from the pulverizing Pandas. Their standard Goats looked very poor, and a few of their experiments didn't work well. However, Chengdu proved once again that Goats isn't a flawless comp. Their Hammond and Sombra play tore apart the Mayhem, and almost everything else they tried worked to some capacity. This team continues to buck the trends and make it work to a certain degree. This is incredibly impressive in a game like Overwatch. If you like great Overwatch League content, make sure to leave us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Now, from our house to yours, thanks for watching.